Joining us now, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, to tell us about this lawsuit that he filed yesterday. And it's good to see you, General. Kane and I are still kind of Wentzville. We're just, because we know that school. We had track meets against Wentzville. This is not like New York City. This is St. Louis County. This is crazy.
I'll go you one better. St. Charles County.
St. Charles County, yes. That's even crazier. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's right. And that's why we're fighting so hard to protect parents' rights to know what's going on in their kids' schools and to have a say in the process. When did that become such a foreign concept? Missourians don't co-parent with the government. And so that's what this case is all about. We're going to enforce the state's open meetings law and ensure that these parents have access to the decision-making process and their voices are heard and that the policies being adopted are consistent with the parents' values and ensure the safety of the children.
I'm curious. They were implementing this. This is such a tiny percentage of the population overall. When you talk about the transgender, the movement, however you want to describe it. Were they? I'm just wondering why the school board decided to take that step and do this. First off, and then obviously, secondly, they didn't even talk to the parents about it. But who was demanding that the school board do this?
Well, it seems to be internal conversations. And, what's frightening is at least some of the board members who are holdovers that, probably are not ideologically aligned with some of the more recent elections to the board said things like, it's none of the parents' darn business. Because the most recent elections to the board spoke up and said, hey, we shouldn't be in closed meeting about this. We should be giving the parents a chance to sound off on this and have buy-in. And the holdover board member said, no, it's none of their darn business. So the
I like how you said darn, because that's not what they said, according to the news.
That's not what they said. Trying to keep it G-rated. But look, at the end of the day, the explicit purpose of these other board members was to box the parents out and avoid any interaction with the public on this issue. They get to decide, who can and can't use the bathrooms with our kids without us knowing about it. And that's absolutely violative of the open meetings law.
So to go back to what these school board members were saying, the ones that, obviously their politics were quite different. It's not the parents' business. If it's anyone's business, this bathroom policy, it's the parents' business. Where do they get the idea that somehow parents have no say in this?
Yeah, it's the parents' business first and foremost. Absolutely. We send our kids to school and the schools are responsible for keeping our kids safe and for educating our kids. And look, these are sensitive topics about human sexuality, of all the issues that absolutely require parental buy-in. It's issues like this. And again, it's because we want to ensure that the policies being adopted ensure that the children are safe and are in accordance with the parents' values. That's why we have open meetings laws. That's why these types of votes and decisions are supposed to be made in a transparent fashion, not in behind closed doors in smoke-filled rooms, and then presented to the public as a fait accompli.
We're talking to Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. You noted too that in this suit that these conversations, apparently they sounded pretty. They were debating this and they wanted them out and open in front of the parents. It makes me wonder. Were these school board members that were pushing for this and pushing to keep parents out, had they not heard of what happened in Virginia? Where they had the male student who identified, for those who don't know, as a female and raped a girl in the bathroom. And then when they sent him to hide it to another school, he sexually assaulted another female student. Are they unaware of that?
Yeah, or unaware of the fact that in the state of Missouri, individuals, males going into female bathrooms have been prosecuted for trespassing. And so, again,
I did not know that.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a case out of Wright City, Missouri, in which a sex offender male was in a female restroom and is prosecuted under the trespassing first statute. It's now the leading case on the trespass first statute in the Eastern District of Missouri. I prosecuted that case myself and then argued it at the Court of Appeals. So this is an important issue because you're right. It's about the safety of the children. But I would go beyond that. And again, there are specific statutes on the books about how human sexuality is and is not allowed to be taught to kids. And you don't get around that by going into closed session and adopting some policy that still exposes to the children to the concepts in the same way as curriculum, but by a different name.
Exactly. And you mentioned too, the trespass issue. I would think that this creates, even looking at this very clinically, this creates a legal conundrum also because, what if it's in Hillsborough County, we had family that went to that school and they had an issue. This was not Hillsborough County, sorry, Jefferson County. It was Hillsborough School District. They had an issue in this school where it was an older student who was an 18-year-old male who wanted to use the female's locker room and restroom. Now, you have an 18-year-old male. A lot of the underclassmen are not 18. I would think that creates a legal nightmare already, that the school's not thinking of that. Aren't they opening themselves up for all kinds of liability?
They are. I mean, if gender is mutable, then so is age, like you pointed out. And we've already identified the safety concerns and where this has played out in a very negative way in places like Virginia. But what we learned from Virginia is that when parents empower themselves and speak out, real change can occur in a positive way. But I would also point out that there's been recent lawsuits where parents of transgender teens have sued schools for educating these kids about transgender issues and encouraging transgender issues and encouraging transitions against the parents' wishes by boxing the parents out. Well, adopting a transgender bathroom policy in the dark of night and closed meeting looks a lot like that. And so again, the legal liability exists on all sorts of fronts, and you would think these board members would have been smarter than that. Fortunately, some of them were and acted as whistleblowers to bring this to light.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. Talking with Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. So, General, what happens? So, obviously, this lawsuit's been filed. What happens next? Are the parents going to are they going to get any kind of relief from this? Are they going to kind of stop this from going forward? What can parents expect?
Well, the parents can expect, first and foremost, we're always going to stand up and have their back to ensure that parents' rights to know what's going on in these schools and to have a voice in that process is respected and honored under the state open meeting law. But secondly, within the context of this lawsuit, we're demanding that the board reopen this process and start over. They cannot implement this district-wide policy without the parental buy-in. They've got to go back and start over. And I think there needs to be a sanction so that we ensure that this kind of behavior doesn't occur in the future.
That's a great idea, having it sanctioned like this. Well, it seems like a lot of parents spoke out enough about this that I would hope that more spoke out than supported something like this. But that's very good to see. I hope other states follow suit. Because you're doing such a good job in our home state, so we're glad that you're there doing this. Please keep us updated as to how this case progresses. We're going to watch it because parents are fighting this all over the nation. It's weird times that we live in. Attorney General, always good to see you.
Thank you, ma'am. All the best to you.
Of course, you too.